Thank you, Shanice, for the introduction. So I wrote this poem around 2.5 months ago in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic, and I would like to share it with everyone. The title is Time. And so our lives have changed. Emotions are withheld. Kisses are forbidden. Breathing has been limited with masks. Touching is allowed with gloves. Social distancing is with fear. Look up to the sky. How lucky we are to see the sunrise and sunset. How lucky we are to hear birds chirping. The wind will blow against your skin, only that it cannot embrace you. The important thing to remember is that no matter how scared we are, this too shall pass, my friend. The future is now. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. And now Shanice, the other poet.
Thank you so much. I forgot to add in that she has taught in Iran, France, and Switzerland. So thank you so much, Manu. So our second poet is Devon Smith. So Devon did a presentation earlier today at 1 called Who Am I? He is from Hartford, Connecticut, and he is a graduate of the Obama Foundation program. He also is the CEO of SINOA, which is Struggle is Not an Option.
How you doing, everyone? Good afternoon. I got 3 poems. The first one is called Colors. After I get done reading it, I'll explain the reason why I wrote this poem. It's not really done, but this is what I got so far. So, am I doing too much? The world may never know. Is this the reason why I wake up so low? Emotions are black, my thoughts are white. Is this the reason why I can't get things right? Pain is red, suffering is purple. Is that the reason how I hurt you? Shadows are gray and footprints are blue. Why does everything seem so true? So that's all I got so far for that one. But the reason why I wrote that, because I was going through a lot around the time I was in Job Corps. Like, I wrote this in 2018. And when I first got to Job Corps, I lost my nephew to brain cancer. So I was like going through a lot, and I was kind of speaking in third person when I wrote that one. All right, so the next one is called Emotions. I'll explain again after I read this one. So, broken promises, unheard cries. This is where my pain lies. No mother, no father, no brother, no sister. Being happy is the only thing I could wish for. Heartbroken is the past, sadness is the present, success is the future. Being lied to is the only thing I'm good for. Depression, anxiety, bipolar. Is it making me feel any older? Every night I pray for better days because I don't know where my head may lay. But in Jesus' name I pray that I wake up to see another day. I call this one Emotions once again. Like, when I was in Job Corps, I went through a lot. I wrote this one around the time I lost my older brother to the streets. So, like, when I lost my brother, I just felt alone. And I felt like I ain't having nobody. So, I just started writing. And the last one is called Confusion. So it go like this. Pain in my heart, pain in my eyes. The hurt is so real, I can read through the lies. I ask myself, why even try? Do you love me? My heart will never know. Maybe love is the reason why I can't let you go. Your words are cold and your actions are fire. Or is it your love that I desire? Passion, pleasure, and pain, real love and happiness is what I'm destined to gain. Mixed thoughts and mixed emotions. What is love? Is it just an emotion? Those are the questions that I need to know. Love lasts forever, or so they say. Sometimes it's the last thing I want each day. Too deep not to bleed out, too shallow to be left hollow, to creep or to follow. But is real love the only thing I know? That was the last one. I call that confusion because, I got mixed feelings about my birth mom, and that was about her. So, you know, but I try to put my feelings in words, but, that's it. That's all I got.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Manu. Thank you. I want to take this time to just celebrate the both of you. And if you guys don't mind sharing your poem, Manu, you sent yours. So Devon, if you could send yours, that would be great. And we can add the poems from the poets and the plenary section as an attachment. So thank you. I will pass it on just so that we can continue on with this amazing plenary with Sean. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shanice. I'm Thomas Showalter. I'm the Executive Director of the National Youth Employment Coalition. I'm really feeling blessed to follow those poets. Devon, you're able to talk about your emotions in a way that I certainly wasn't when I was your age. You're really wise beyond your years, and I hope you know that. We've been blessed by these poets throughout the conference. And I really hope that they've served to remind you that we're all on this journey together. We're all on a journey to justice. You all may have heard me say this, but I do have to go back to church a little bit and remind everyone that the word radical comes from the Latin word for root. Being radical is actually about going deeper, reconnecting with why we're doing this work. That may mean in these times going beyond the boundaries of what's civil, what's traditional, what's practical. It's a time to reconnect with our principles, with our sources of meaning, with why we're doing this work. I know that's something that some of you have been saying you're all struggling with, and I hope this conference has provided a small chance to do some of that. I've really been grateful for all of you to stick with us and to attend and to be so vigorous in your commenting. I think one thing, that we can all take is that being radical is being rooted. Roots also are a source of sustenance. They're a source of storage. They keep us going when times are hard. They protect us. They enable us to march into the future. We can rely on roots. We can rely on what we believe in. We can rely on our principles, even when the weather is really gray, like it is right now in DC at the moment, literally and figuratively. But it's also these times of crisis that create opportunity. I said this at our annual forum last fall, but I think it's still true. Is this the time we're going to ask for what we actually want for our young people? I think the answers we've been hearing from the uprisings show that people are more ready than I can remember in a long time to be really clear about what they want. And we're getting more white folks on board with talking about what's really been going on in this country for 400 years. And I'm really feel blessed to have all of you on this journey to justice with me. I hope that this convening and that your interactions with NYEC have felt radical in this way. I really encourage you to go take a look at our website. Rashawn or I will be putting in the chat the feedback form for this conference, our survey for NYEC member organizations, our survey for the field, more information about how to join NYEC if your organization isn't already a member. But you've been hearing about that from us throughout this conference, but all of that feedback is going to be really helpful as we go through this time of discernment for what the role of this organization is, this 40-year-old organization, as we go through this pandemic unlike anything that we've seen in this organization's history. These interlocking crises that we're in the midst of. And I think we're going to close this conference in the best possible way we can, with Sean Dove and some of his colleagues talking about the Black Male Achievement Movement. This is a conversation that I think we've all seen move to the center of the conversation across so many issue areas. And Sean is really our best possible guide to what's been achieved and where we still need to go. He's the CEO of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, a national membership organization committed to improving the life outcomes for Black men and boys. Since 2008, he's propelled the campaign from being an initiative of OSF into an independent organization. He helped seed the launch of President Obama's My Brother's Keeper initiative. He helped the city of New York launch the Young Men's Initiative. He served as a lead organizer of the Executives Alliance to expand opportunities for boys and young men of color. He also is a youth development professional by training. He's going to be joining us with a couple of his colleagues and I believe showing a video. So as you have throughout this conference, please continue to work through us with all of the implications of using Zoom and doing this work virtually. So we're going to move through several different segments of this, of his time with us. And then I'll remind you that there's also a happy hour where you can debrief a little bit on this conversation after the, after Sean's session. There's also a re-engagement network affinity group that's happening later on. And I will acknowledge that, we had a taste of the unforgiving world that we live in last night when the reason we have passwords on all the sessions today is because the happy hour last night got Zoom bombed. So I'm sorry if you were a part of that, you've heard from me already, but this is the world that we live in. And I think more of us are clearer about the world as it actually is. I think those of you who are in this conference already know what the world is really like. But anyway, please join us for some frivolity in our now password protected and troll free happy hour after this session. But right now I'm going to turn it over to Sean. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here.
Wow, Thomas, thank you so much for the opening and welcome everyone. I just know I'm in the right place. I've cried before after speaking and after delivering a keynote address, but I don't think I've cried before in the way I did today. And I just want to thank Minu and Devon for their poetry and for their heart. And poetry saved my life as an adolescent, trying to find his way. So I just know that I'm in the right place. And, at the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, we have a weekly tradition called Thank You Thursday. We charge and challenge everybody on the team to send 5 notes of gratitude via tweet, email, handwritten note, smoke signal, in person, the old-fashioned way. And I just wanted to bring that ethos into the room, into the Zoom room, and say thank you. And CBMA Thank You Thursday, and I want to thank Isaac and Ray Sean and Shanice for making this possible and inviting me. And I want to lift up, you get a chance to hear and see 2 of the hometown heroes and local leaders from the Campaign for Black Male Achievement, Brenda March from Orlando and Alfonso Mayo from Baltimore. And they're the ones, and the, we have a mission manager, and we have many mission managers that keeps the work going for us at the Campaign for Black Male Achievement. And one of them is there's no cavalry coming to save the day in our communities. There's no cavalry coming today to save Black folks in our communities, that we are the iconic leaders that we have been waiting for. We are the curators of the change we're seeking to see. So I'm just grateful, and I wanted to say thank you for all 136 of you that are on and in the Zoom room. And I just wanted to say thank you for your sacrifice. I want to just thank you for those moments when you wanted to shrink back, but you stepped up and found that giant within you on behalf of the young people. I just want to just thank you for doing what Devon demonstrated in his poem. He says something very powerful with this, I think his first poem. He said, it's not really done, but I want to share it with you anyway. And that encapsulates this work. That encapsulates the National Youth Employment Coalition's ethos. That encapsulates what all Youth Connecting Careers and Community, this forum is all about. And now young people are not really done yet. None of us are, but we hear and we show ourselves. And so thank you for bringing that a space. And this, as you can see, will be a stream of consciousness. I am mindful of time because while I am the featured speaker and invite, you will be more inspired and informed by our guests. I'm going to be talking about the paradox of promise and peril for Black men and boys in America. And I have been blessed for the last 12 years to lead the campaign for Black male achievement, just helping to catalyze a movement for Black men and boys across the nation. Totally understand that this is not new work, but it's now work. This is work that stands on the shoulders of 400 years of liberators and freedom fighters and abolitionists. And while the narrow angle lens of the campaign for Black male achievement is about improving the life outcomes for Black men and boys, the wide angle lens is really building a beloved community and includes everyone, men, women, girls, LGBT community. And that's why I'm really excited about the promise that I'm seeing today. But you know what? I'm so inspired. I'm going to start with the poem, and we'll kind of breeze through because we are at the 3:20 mark. And I know that Brenda and Mayo might be saying, you know, all right, Sean, we know how you get started, but I want to share this poem that I wrote a number of years ago when I created a combination basketball clinic and writing workshop for young men on Manhattan's Upper West Side. And it goes like this. Whilst that poetry in motion, I stopped to look for a brother with ways to write a book. Arrange round me with a story to tell, a billion brothers to know all too well, about unwritten words that unwillingly die before bred and bound and able to fly. Why do my brother's words wear weights of woe? My ears to the ground, I'm dying to know. We must give our words wings so they can sing a song for all brothers they will bring. The ability to fly, to dream, and to soar, it's to you, my brothers, these words are for. To give your words a life, you must sit and write your story with tales of what life is like. Do me a favor and set your words free, because I need to hear them. Do it for me. And I gotta lift up that today would have been the 18-year birthday of Tamir Rice. He would have been 18 years old today. I have 4 children, 2 daughters, 24 and 22, and I have 18-year-old twin boys. And Tamir Rice is not here today. I wonder what his story would be. I wonder what his words would be. Sandra Bland is not here today. I wonder what her story, what her words would be today. Trayvon is not here. What's his story? What's his word? Michael Brown, the list goes on and on. George Floyd, you know, what is his word? And we know what his last words was. His last words was, I can't breathe. And when I think about this pivotal, transcendent moment that we're in this movement of Black male achievement and how it intersects with all sorts of other movements in this nation, gender justice, environmental justice, healthcare, I can't help think that we are in a moment where what Emmett Till's murder meant in 1955 to ignite the civil rights movement is the same thing that George Floyd's murder is igniting in this moment that we are in. So the promise of this moment, I believe, that we've just entered a decade. This decade, these first 6 months, we've gotten off to a disruption, a transformation. The world turned upside down, and I believe that we have entered a generational cycle. I was a child of the 60s. I was born in 1962. Emmett Till was murdered 7 years before I was born. But the fight that we are all in are for young people that are yet to be born. And so what Emmett Till meant for the 60s, I believe George Floyd is meaning for the 2020s. And that this is a battle for the soul of this nation, and everybody has a role. And what I am inspired about is that the imagery and the pictures are not just Black men up front leading the battle. It's young people, Black, white, Asian, all colors. I was on a call with a white brother of mine yesterday. He told me from his small hometown in Maine, there was a Black Lives Matter march. And so I do think that we are in a moment that we have to maximize. You know, thinking about this moment and the opportunity for interconnection and intergenerational connection. One of the images that are haunting me from this movement that we are in now, and I think it was in Minneapolis, and it was a young sister. She was maybe in her late teens or her early 20s, and she in one hand had this poster up, and the poster said, "We are not our ancestors, we will fuck you up." And I was like, baby girl, I see you out there on the front lines, but how did my generation allow that to happen? How does she not know that she is her ancestors' wildest dreams? How does she not know that the spirit of Harriet Tubman, the spirit of Nat Turner runs through her veins? And so what I'm excited about when we're talking about connecting youth, we are also connecting generations, right? And I'm hoping that someone has gotten to her, right? And so you can go on the website of the Campaign for Black Male Achievement and find out what we're all about. And, you know, over the last dozen years, we have, as Thomas shared, seeded so much. And one of the things that we seeded was the Echo and Green Black Male Achievement Fellowship. And I bring that up to just ask you, what is your why not moment in this movement? And what I mean by that, you know, when we were at Open Society Foundations, we were originally supposed to be there for just a 3-year campaign. You know how philanthropy sometimes looks at a generational, centuries-long issue and say, we're going to address this with a 3-year, if you're lucky, 5-year campaign. And we had this idea that we wanted to launch a fellowship. This was after the term limits of our 3 years was taken away. And Open Society had a history of their own fellowships. But me and my partner, program officer at the time, Rashid Shabazz, we wanted to create something and new and something different. And we went and partnered with Echo and Green and came up with this design. I remember very vividly, Rashid was leading this. You know, it was a battle inside, right? A battle inside the institution to be innovative. And I remember he got down to inside, like the 1 yard line. He said, "I'm tired. You got to finish this for me." And I remember sitting in the office with the then interim executive director of U.S. programs. my fund director, and I presented the proposal to launch this innovative Black Male Achievement Fellowship in partnership with Equin Green. And she looked at me and she said, I don't think we can have the budget to do this. We can't do this. I don't know what came over me, but I asked a simple question. Why not? I don't think she was ready for that. Swiveled in her chair, went to her calculator, pushed a few buttons, and swiveled back and said, I guess we can. And that was in 2011. And since then, that Equin Green Fellowship has funded over 80 Black male achievement innovators. And so the question for you in this moment is, why not? And I'm here to tell you that your promise of place is wherever you decide to take a stand. And when we talk about the field and the movement of Black male achievement, the movement is national, but the work happens locally. And in this moment, there is a difference between capturing the attention of a nation. We've seen since George Floyd's murder, $1.5 billion all of a sudden appear from corporations and philanthropies on behalf of racial justice, Black male achievement, social justice. But I think there's a difference between capturing the attention and capturing the imagination of the nation. And so before we introduce the video, I'm going to just quickly share and not go into details because I am mindful of my time and I want to hear from my hometown heroes and sheroes. But when we talk about strengthening the field of Black male achievement, the work happens locally. Campaign for Black Male Achievement elevates 3 core values that must happen in cities: collective work and responsibility, right? How do we mobilize national and local male achievement stakeholders, right? So that's one value. The other value is respect and recognition, right? And believing in the humanity of everybody. That police officer who had his neck, his knee on George Floyd's neck, clearly did not believe in his humanity and respect him as a human being. And that's establishing a campaign to reimagine and enhance how we see Black men and boys. And we got to think bold, and we have to this is a moment now where everything is on the table, and there's building blocks. And how do you build and strengthen the movement? You have to have a city administration commitment. You have to have stakeholders, cross-sector leaders from City Hall to the corners, from the block to the boardroom at the room. We have to build capacity of organizations and build the infrastructure of organizations. We need to believe in the assets of Black men and boys. They don't need saviors, they need believers in their assets. Black men and boys don't need saviors, they need believers in their assets. There also needs to be an actionable agenda on a city level, shared goals and strategies that are clearly established and are guiding the local work. And it has to be an effective practice base. We need intermediary organizations, we need direct service organizations, we need to focus on data, and we need evidence that proposes policies and practices to achieve the desired outcomes. The other building block is coordination and a continuation and a continuum of activities and how we are intersecting and connecting this effort, not for this moment, but for the long haul. We got 400 years here and we got this moment here. We have to look at this in the long haul. What's our vision for the next decade? And the last building block is funding, right? Strikes me strange that in 3 weeks, we were able to come up with $3 trillion that we needed to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. In 3 weeks, Congress passed that. $3 trillion. And you can't tell me we can't get $1 billion for Black men and boys? So we're going to go to Rashawn, the video. And right after the video, we're going to hear from Brenda March from Orlando. And then we're going to hear from Alfonso Mayo from Baltimore. I have spoken much too long, but this Promise of Place video gives you a snapshot of the work that is done by the hometown heroes and local leaders, the curators of change. And all right. I think we're getting there with the Wi-Fi. I want to say thank God for videos. I want to lift up Shanice and all the sisters that are on this call. One of our strategies is called the Black Male Equity Initiative, about building wealth and infusing a wealth consciousness into this work, launched by Dr. Pamela Jolly. And what she says is that if you want to birth something, you have to have a womb in the room. I would not be here if it were not for my single mom, Deanna, right? And so, yes, this is a movement to improve the life outcomes for Black men and boys, but certainly without the sisters, without folks from all genders and identifications, this movement would not happen. And I am, as you can see, doing some delay tactics while the Wi-Fi comes.
Yeah, Sean, the video's ready.
Oh, it is. You should have told me a long time ago. Go ahead,
I'm so sorry. Yeah, are people able to see the video? Sean, can you see the video?
Yeah, I can see it. I'm hoping others can see it. I've seen it a bunch of times. And right after the video, we're gonna hear from Brenda March.
Great.
We're going to be here at Focus Hope for the next 2 days, really looking at how we build a network of leadership focused on the success of Black men and boys.
And so the Promise of Place Convene is our time to come together to really talk about what we can do in our cities to move the needle for Black men and boys. And we know that we have to do that through cross-sector partnerships. And so that's why we have cross-sector leaders here at Promise of Place.
You all are the best hopes we have around solving them. And what this report and what your work is going to help us get to is pick places. And those places are going to help us then tell the story and move out to other places. And we say, this is how you win for Black men and boys. This is what Promise looks like.
If we are looking to improve the life outcomes of Black men and boys, how do we do that without talking about health? How do we improve health outcomes? How do we promote self-empowerment, right? And then how do we nurture strong communities?
Most radical act of social justice is self-care. It's self-care. Talk to your peer counselors, talk to your mentors, talk to your executive coaches, talk to your therapists.
We don't socialize boys and men in the way where we're encouraging them to convene. And this is one of the reasons why I absolutely love CBMA is we're normalizing these conversations around promoting mental health and various progressive definitions of masculinities, particularly for Black men and boys.
How do we take all of the work that you have been doing? How do we make sure that it's sustainable so that multiple generations from now, we're able to pick up where you left off? Because we're working with vulnerable and marginalized communities that have traditionally and historically been left out of the conversation.
It's not just a love game, it's a technical game that's involved with this. And if you ain't building that, then you're just fighting to say you fought, not to win. You don't have no data, your structure's not right, organizations everywhere got to sharpen up.
We need three things for this movement. We need to involve impacted communities. We need strategic partnerships that benefit Black-led organizations. And we need to ask and command foundations to give us multi-year general operating support.
Because I think that youth voice is the most incredible one in the work that we do. because 4 years ago, there were some different challenges for our young men. And now there are different challenges, and we have to keep understanding and learning what those challenges are to identify with them what the solutions can be.
We're an organization devoted to making Detroit a more just city. But we recognize that you can't create a more just city without addressing the legacy and impact of mass incarceration.
We reshift our thinking around public safety inside the city, right? Not thinking about public safety as jails, detentions, and police, but more about making sure that families have what they need to make sure that their kids have what they need, and what would that look like?
And so as we think about ownership, because if you're really talking about violence and how to cure it, how to stop it, part of that is around economic empowerment. I mean, poverty is a driver here. And so how do we make sure that we're building in such a way that people have resources?
And so there are things you can do if you put plans in place and make sure that the community is engaged when those plans are made, or know about it and support it, or have advocated for it in the budget. The budget is the most powerful tool of any city government, so knowing how it works and being able to engage with it is crucial for any city leader and anybody who wants to engage with city leaders.
And in order to challenge the status quo, we need loud voices who are brave and bold and courageous enough to challenge how things have been done.
So I would say it's about getting organized for a goal that's bigger than yourself.
Great. So it is my pleasure to introduce one of the most dynamic leaders in.
Let's do it. Okay, let's do it. Thank you. Thank you for your burst of energy. Welcome to A Late Show. I'm your host, Steve.
How we get out of there, Rayshawn? Okay, great. Thank you. Sister Brenda March from Orlando, Florida, who we have partnered with for the last 10 years. She is specially appointed in Mayor Buddy Dyer's office and is the manager of youth and education. And I want to introduce Brenda to share her story. Can you hear us, Brenda? You may be on mute.
Yes, I see.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
Good afternoon.
It's all yours.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, everyone. I am a woman for BMA, from the block to the boardroom. I like that. I had to steal that one. From the block to the boardroom. My block was public housing of 8 siblings, and the boardroom has afforded me the opportunity to meet some wonderful people along the way. And Sean, you are definitely one of them. And I want to start with just stating that I manage the day-to-day operations of Peril Kids Zone, which is modeled after the Harlem Children's Zone. And it was launched in 2006. And it was in one of the Orlando's most disadvantaged neighborhoods. And when people think of Orlando, they think of what? Disney World, Mickey Mouse, right? So we have, you know, Hood and Paramore, which is downtown west in Orlando, Florida. And the mayor launched in 2006 the Cradle to Career program called Peril Kids Zone. And I was fortunate to meet Mr. Sean Dove as a part of the National League of Cities when he was mentioning when he had started seeding earlier on. We were one of the cities, Orlando, and we were one of the 11 cities through the National League of Cities. And I must say that I learned so much about, you know, being unapologetic about saying the word Black. You know, thank you so much for that. And having to go back and to express that when we went back into our communities. And then we started talking about, you know, how we can launch even further based on the initiative with Campaign for Black Male Achievement and all of the tools that were given to us in our toolkit. And I started thinking about the impact of the work and what we're doing in Orlando and making sure that we get more exposure. And I started thinking about, you know, where do we go from here? Because at that time we were dealing with trying to get kids engaged into various programs, activities. trying to make sure that we shed a positive light when it came to Black men and young boys. And I just think that when we start thinking about the signs of the time, you know, Campaign for Black Male Achievement was really the seed for a lot of this that's happening now. And when you were talking about the billions of dollars being raised in a couple of days, I'm just startled because, you know, we've been out here in the trenches doing the work, you know, for such a long period of time. And I was just thinking about, you know, 2006 when we launched, 2011, 2012 for CBMA. And then I started thinking about 2000. I think I got involved with Rumble Young Men Rumble 2016, I think, or so. And I'm still involved with Rumble Young Men Rumble right now. And I started thinking about the 2014 when we received the My Brother's Keepers launch for the city of Orlando and the impact of the work. And we're out there in the trenches making sure that children and families receive services and putting our young men and boys at the forefront. Next slide, please. I want to make sure I show the other slide. The next one. That was the first one. I selected this particular slide because in 2011, 2012, this is a quote that our mayor, Mayor Buddy Dyer, who you see is a white male, and Peril Kids Zone are the young adults that work in our program. And they now have grown and started managing some of the youth development programs that we have in place. But what's very interesting is this quote was written, I want to say about 2011 or so, 2012. And it says, from our mayor, the real question should be, why not? Because Sean said why. He said, why not? Focus on Black male achievement. Unfortunately, despite all the opportunities for success here in Orlando, many of today's young Black men are struggling to find a secure, stable, and prosperous place in society. We are committed to ensuring opportunities for all our residents and programs, like what we're doing today, so that we can be able to support those efforts. You know, where do we go from here? I just keep thinking over and over again because we've arrived at this destination because of COVID-19. And you can see everybody masking up. And Onyx Magazine is hosting next week a press event, just making sure that everyone in Orlando stays safe due to COVID-19 and wear a mask wherever we go. And I'm thinking about, you know, the 5 I's. I, meaning myself, meaning yourself. I. Where do we go from here? And, you know, and I know that Sean is going to close us out, and I'm thinking about, you know, when we start talking about Black men and boys and, you know, start talking about the impact of the work and, you know, being your brother's keeper, your sister's keeper, you know, I'm thinking about, you know, how I can imagine the first I. The first I is imagining. How do we imagine that, you know, we're going to continue to encourage our children to continue to dream and be the best men and women that they can be when they grow up? Giving them opportunities to grow and expose them to all types of, you know, programs and activities during these challenging times. The second I is intentional. You have to be strategically intentional about putting our Black agenda at the forefront when it comes to our Black boys and men. Now, I do understand that we're with My Brother's Keeper, Black and Brown. I do understand that, and we definitely are a very diverse city. But when I started thinking about the impact of the work and being intentional, just making sure that you showcase positive photos, positive PR as much as you can. Be strategic about selecting and showcasing that particular work. And then when we start thinking about informative, you know, getting all the facts, ensuring that folks understand your agenda, where you're going, painting that picture so when they leave that meeting, that event, or that activity, that they're definitely informed about the next steps in the direction that you're going. Inclusive. We are Orlando, an inclusive city. You know, we know about the posts and all the things that are happening, you know, in Orlando, Florida. You hear about it on the news. And, you know, one thing about Orlando, we are a progressive city with a progressive mayor who, when we bring ideas and different, you know, things that we're working on and programs and projects, he says to us, you know, hey, that sounds like a great idea. And I said, well, Mayor, why, you know, I don't understand why when we bring you these ideas and, you know, and activities outside the box, you never tell us no. He said, well, you never brought me anything that wasn't worth, you know, showcasing. So again, during these times, we have to be very creative. And the fifth I is innovative. I know that we're doing Zoom calls. We're trying to figure out how we can check on folks doing wellness checks. And we've had to create questionnaires to ensure that those folks that are home, calling them on the phone, Zoom calls, and making sure that they understand that we're there to support them and that they care, because we don't know what is really going on in some of these homes. And during these challenging times, I just want to make sure everybody understand we're looking at, you know, police brutality, trying to make sure that we have funds for certain events and activities, all of that. But how really are our children and families, how are they really doing? Who's reaching out to them? Who's making sure that they're going to be okay? Because the schools are closed. And so when I start thinking about the impact of where all this starts, it starts with the man or woman in the mirror. When you look at yourself, you say to yourself, hey, where am I today? Where am I planning to go? How can I be a part of the change? Like Sean always says, the cavalry, you know, we are that cavalry that we've been looking for. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity to share today. And, you know, I do understand that, you know, we have young people that are listening, and this centennials and the millennials, they're just thirsty for being able to get their ideas and, you know, the movement, and making sure that everyone understands how they feel about what they're doing. And they're not just talking about it, they're actually putting strategies in place to start implementing some of the things that they're talking about wanting to do. So I'm trying to be very supportive. Our city is very supportive of ensuring that we continue to put in place those events and activities and those programs to ensure that our next generation are doing very well. And I'm just very grateful and thankful to the Campaign for Black Male Achievement and all the wonderful people I've met over the years. And I look forward to a very brighter future, because I've met some wonderful people that have imparted wisdom and knowledge and understanding in my life that'll take me to infinity and beyond when I start thinking about it. But again, I truly appreciate this wonderful opportunity to share with everyone today. And I just would like everybody to be safe, and just thank you so much for inviting me to share this space and time with you.
All right. Thanks, Brenda. I would like to introduce Mayo. Mayo, are you unmuted? I was having a little problem getting unmuted for a second there. From Baltimore, the founder of Mentor and Mentors. Can you hear me, Mayo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to turn it over to you. And I saw you put up your website. So no introductions, turning it over, because we're working at with time.
Yes, sir. I got you. So first and foremost, thank everyone for being a part of this amazing initiative. You guys deserve to give yourself a clap, a pat on the back, a snap, a thumbs up, because you're answering a call. I'm not a poet by any means, but as I was listening to the poets and I listened to Sean, something came to my heart. And I do this a lot with my kids, and I probably could be a poet or a writer, but I choose not to be. And so Sean said something. He said something about the cavalry not coming for people that look like me. So I have to be the cavalry that people see. I am Sean in the future, and Sean used to be me. A challenge is only a challenge when we don't answer. And an eye for an eye mean we all will go blind. But if we see eye to eye, then we will have 40-40 vision into our future. So I'll start with that. I intentionally didn't make slides because I wanted you guys just to get to know me for me. My name is Alfonso Mayo. I am the founder and servant leader of an organization called Mentor and Mentors here in Baltimore City, where our mission is to enhance the academic achievement, inspire confidence, and expose youth to positive mentoring experience that transform the trajectory of their lives. And so if you check the chat, I put that we are the creators of the intergenerational near-to-peer mentoring model. Essentially what that means is we do not believe in independency. We teach our kids intradependency. Everything that we teach them from middle school, they take on themselves, and once they become high schoolers, we then start to train them by helping them build positive relationships. I don't think that there's any solution to the current climate or state that we're in until we see one another for who we are, right? And when I say for who we are, we're human. Yes, I get that my pigment may look a little different. Yes, I get that I come from a city that most would consider dangerous. And if you knew my story and my backing, you would know that I've been through some extreme challenges, yet and still today I'm here. And so a little bit of my introduction: I'm a husband first. I'm a father of 5. I'm a first generation graduate. I graduated from Stevenson University, and then I went back to Johns Hopkins University after making a promise to my students. And I started this initiative really in 2014, but we got our first set of legs in 2015, and we've been crawling. We slowly start to walk, and now we're moderately walking. I am super grateful that Sean decided to share the space with me. When he told me that they wanted to speak about the piece of promise, I wanted to just uplift this for everyone that's on the call. It doesn't really matter. If you're on the call, it doesn't matter. We all were born with promise inside of us innately. Even if you're not a believer, you were born with a promise. The difference between people that look like me and people that don't is that I know my promise have been suppressed for many, many years. And in certain situations, it wasn't supposed to come to light. However, because of organizations like CBMA, organizations like Center for Urban Families, organizations like Baltimore Corps, I've been able to see that promise and build the stairways forward so that I can have something to offer, not just to my community, but to this world. I don't think that we can do this independently. If I tried to do it all on my own, I wouldn't be on this call today. So I'll share a quick story because I know we're short for time. You're looking at someone who was born to a drug-addicted mom. My dad was in prison when I was born. My mom abandoned me by 6 months. My entire family, no one graduated from high school. Everyone used drugs or alcohol to suppress their pain, their trauma. I failed literally from 1st through 8th grade. When I entered into high school, I was reading on a 1st grade level and my math levels was lower. I was diagnosed by an institution here called Kennedy Krieger Institute. I only found out about my diagnosis because my son has autism, which you see right here, which is why I'm representing his hat. What the physician said about me. She said, do not allow him to read or write anything. Only allow him to listen to audiobooks, every note that he should take, every note that is provided, a teacher is to take. He is to be placed in the lowest performing class. That physician didn't see in me what I know my brother Sean see in me. I reached out to that physician. However, the number didn't work. But the reason I reached out was because I wanted to allow her to see that her words didn't ring true. I graduated in the top 10% of my class in high school, and I then went on to North Carolina Central. I became a father at an early age, but I knew that giving up college to be a father was vitally important. And now I've become the father to so many who are fatherless or who father just don't fill that void emotionally. Sean knows this, and I'll share this, and then during this time of the pandemic, I had to do some self-discovery. I've learned that I've become consciously aware that I'm good at helping others, but I haven't been the best to myself. For the past 3 months, I've been doing soul searching deeply to figure out what really is my leadership qualities, and why can't I help myself like I help others? And I realized, because I found joy in helping others, it gave me a sense of purpose. But in this season, God said, you have to help you. Sean is my mentor. I have a therapist now, and I have a pastor, and a collective of people who are praying for me and who care about me. Take care of you so that you can take care of others. In this season of the challenge, I need you to speak up and speak out. Don't just sit in your silo behind your computers. Don't just work for this organization or company. Actually challenge those beliefs of people who are not allowing us to move forward together. I promise you, if you do that, you're answering the challenge. Even if you make an inch forward, that's an inch better than what we were, and is an inch forward in the right direction. Again, my name is Alfonso Mayo. I'm the servant leader of Mentor Mentors. And if you ever check out our website, you'll see a hashtag that say never get comfortable. Never get comfortable means something different for all of us. But my never get comfortable is never getting comfortable with where I came from and never settling for where I'm at, because I know where I'm going. Thank you all for your time. And thank you, Sean, for sharing this space.
Thank you, Mayo, and thank you, Brenda. Love you both. And for those of you that don't know about the Campaign for Black Male Achievement's tagline, it's love, learn, and lead. And I know that we are close to happy hour, right? I don't want to stand in between happy hour and what comes next. But just a couple things I wanted to lift up when we talk about what's needed for strengthening the field of Black male achievement. And I would encourage folks to go to our website, blackmaleachievement.org. I would encourage everyone to also go to another website, bmafunders.org. There is a knowledge center on that website that has over 250 reports, and we don't need another research report. It has already been done, right? What we need to do is curate all that is out there already. I want to lift up for everybody that we launched something called BMA Health and Healing Strategies for the leaders that are in cities across the country, on the front lines, elevating this work for Black male achievement. We discovered that so many of us were depressed, so many of us were stressed, so many of us were even suicidal. And one of the things that Dr. Sean Jenwright, who is with San Francisco State University, and I think you may have heard me say this in the video, he says that the greatest act of social justice is self-care. And so I would encourage everyone, and Mayo repeated it, we have to use our executive coaches. If you don't have one, find one. We have to use our mentors. If you don't have one, ask someone to be your mentor. And we also have to use our therapists. There is no way we can be doing this work. There is no way that we can be, I know, Black in America. James Baldwin said to be Black in America, and paraphrasing, to be halfway conscious is to almost be in a constant state of rage. I have some slides that I'm going to close with, but I only have a couple minutes. And since we began with poetry, I'm going to end with poetry. And my challenge to each and every one of you that are listening is to discover your G-spot and become a gold digger. No, I didn't go real left on you. What is he talking about, the G-spot? No, it's not that kind of webinar. What I'm talking about is your gift spot, I'm talking about your great spot. I'm talking about the gold inside of you. And what Devon reminded me, and Nino reminded me, is that poetry saved my life. And I remember as a 11th grader in high school, and I transferred from Brooklyn Technical High School to a prep school in Massachusetts, and I decided to try poetry for the first time. Wasn't around my homeboys. Look, this was 1978. Rapper's Delight was just coming out. It wasn't a cool thing, spoken word. So I tried this poetry class and wrote poems, the assignments, and I came to class the next day and I would read my poetry and the class would clap. And I would look to Mrs. Carlson. We called her Mrs. C. She became my mentor. She was my poetry teacher. I'm still in touch with her today. And I said, who are they clapping for? And she said, they're clapping for you. I was a poet and I didn't even know it. Our job is to help young people discover their G-spots, their gold inside of them. Up until that point, my only source of confidence was a corner jump shot. And so I want to end today's plenary with a poem that I dedicate to Mrs. Carlson, but not only Mrs. Carlson, to all the teachers, all the youth professionals, all the mentors, to all the folks that are connecting youth and are creating beloved communities. And it's called Gold, and it goes like this. If ever there was a time for you to dig deep within, it is now, if only you would decide and begin. Mining your soul for your buried gold is why you are here, so dig deep and be bold. It is your purpose, your life's divine mission. It is your calling, so just get still and listen. And you will hear an oh so sweet sound telling you where your gold can be found. And you'd be wise to not let another moment fly by, because the day will come when you'll surely die. Then the question for you will resoundingly be, did you dig deep for your gold for the world to see? Mining your soul for your buried gold is why you are here, so dig deep and be bold. And I just want to thank you for inviting the Campaign for Black Male Achievement and our leaders. I hope that this conference has given you courage to dig deeper than you have ever dug before for your gold and be a gold digger. And thank you, Thomas. I'm going to turn it back over to you and let happy hour begin.
Amen. Thank you, Sean. I couldn't have closed it any better. I don't really have anything else to say. We've got all the links you need to see there in the chat for where to find the re-engagement affinity group, for where to find the happy hour. Let's keep the conversation going. I really feel privileged to have spent these past several days with you, and especially privileged to have had Sean and Alfonso and Brenda here with us for this plenary. So just remember to stay rooted, and we'll be seeing you at future NYEC convenings. You can tell us what kind of convening you want to have in December. We know that the world is more uncertain than it's ever been, but there are more opportunities than there have ever been. So stay strong, everybody, and we'll see you on the other side or at happy hour.
All right, and then for folks who join us Wednesday, you know how this goes. If you have headphones, turn down your volume. We're gonna unmute everyone and to give a big thanks to all the presenters, the youth leaders, the organizers, and most importantly, yourselves. So we're gonna do that right now. Yay! Congratulations to you.
I really appreciate you and all your efforts. And, appreciate y'all. Yeah.
Good job.
All right, much appreciated. You take care and stay safe.
Yeah,
Right,
that's okay.
later.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you so much. Bye.